It's Soul Sunday at Spirit and Soul Studio, and I am Tiffany Cohen, ready to guide and lead you through this beautiful, uplifting, soulful message that I want to share with you today. And this is something that I think can be really beneficial to just about anybody, because if you're listening to Soul Sunday, there is a part of you that is truly awakening. If you are in the Spirit and Soul community, you are a spiritual being, a spiritual person. I mean, and I'm speaking to the community right now. You could be a spiritual person and not be part of Spirit and Soul, but why would you want to be, is my question. It's a great place to be. So, today we're going to talk about being a heretic. And what does that mean? Now, I don't know the true, I didn't do any research to say like what is a heretic, but I know it to be that when someone is called a heretic, it's usually that they are going against the religious understandings and teachings and thinking differently, living differently. I want to actually extend it further, and maybe the definition does extend further, but if it doesn't, I'm here to do that today. So the definition, I want to extend further by saying that you can be a heretic in anything in your life that has a belief system, that has a way of operating. And you could be the different one, often also called the black sheep of the family, right? And this is not a bad thing. And when we say like, oh, I'm the black sheep of the family, it's truly because you are living your life differently. And I want to just extend this to you and say, like, that's the best thing you can do. Number one, not just for yourself, but for your family. But it's the best thing that you can do to grow and to shine your light really bright. The thing is, we can face a lot of criticism from that. We can face a lot of questions from it. And I know that it's especially difficult when you're dealing with loved ones, when you're dealing with family members, when you're dealing with friends that don't get it. They just don't, and they don't want to right now. And that doesn't mean that at some point they won't turn around and say like, you know what, I'm going to try that out. Or I'm going to, like, what are you doing here? Oh, I want to come to the moon circle with you. Right. That doesn't mean that that's never going to happen. I have seen it. I mean, even my own husband, not that he was not a believer, but he just like wasn't, he didn't really look into it enough. And over time, like he will sit with me with a meditation. He's taking pictures of the stars like Christina does, and of the sky and the clouds, and seeing the messages that come through it. And I am telling you, that was not him a few years ago. And the thing is, you have to allow people to unfold as they are meant to. And in the book Bringers of the Dawn by Barbara Marciniak, there is a whole section related to being the heretic, and that the heretics are ahead of their time. So I want to read a few pages or a few passages from here to really start to open up your eyes to what it is to be the heretic and how it's like such a good thing. So if we look at page 172, it says, heretics are ahead of their time. The heretical ideas that come onto the planet always prove to be brilliant later. So have courage. It only seems as if these new ideas are being ridiculed. And I'm going to skip now to the bottom paragraph. It says, you awaken in waves as each of you learns to carry information and broadcast it. Now, information is light, okay? So information is carried through light waves. If everyone were awakened at once, it would be very chaotic. So let's put that in perspective for a moment. You have people in your life, and like now you've awakened, and you're like, and you're doing all this healing work, and you're starting to manifest the most amazing things, and you're feeling good after like not feeling good for years and years. And you want to shout it from the rooftops. You want to be like, wait a second, like I changed my life has changed. Like I feel like so much better. And why don't you do it too? And if people are not ready for that, if the people in your life are not ready for this, You have to be okay with that because, again, just like they said here, if we were to all awaken at the same time, it would feel chaotic because now it's not just you awakening or like, maybe other people like around you in a small group awakening. It's every single person, and nobody knows how to move forward, like where to look first, where to turn first. This is actually why one of the big reasons that Spirit and Soul exists is so that on your spiritual journey, you don't feel alone, because it can feel alone, like you don't know where to turn to. Well, guess what? Now you have people that can help to guide you, and everybody's spiritual journey is different. And we are never going to say, you have to do this first, and then you have to do that first. Absolutely not. Right. And if anybody is doing that to you, that is a massive red flag. I want you to run in the other direction because they're just trying to show you what they think is right. Remember what we keep talking about, whether you're listening to the podcast, the Spirit and Soul podcast, or whether you're listening to Soul Sundays, is that take what resonates, leave what doesn't. You have to follow your own heart and soul, and that can never be pushed on you. You can be guided and then make your own decisions. So if anybody that you listen to, anybody that you're following, that you are working with, if they are like pushers of their way is the right way, that's a control factor and you need to run. Okay. Like completely just run. You don't want that in your life, because there's no just one way, one right way. Everybody is going to have a different soul path, and those things are going to cross, right? Like maybe learning about, I don't know, tapping into angelic frequencies, maybe that's like not for you right now, but later on it could be, right? So if I say like, well, this is like next on your list, like you really need to start doing this, like and pushing that, like if it doesn't resonate with you, it's never going to work for you in this moment because you're not ready yet. You haven't awoken to that part of your spiritual journey. Now, at some point, you will probably get there. And whether you decide to continue to make it part of your journey or not is totally up to you. But remember, there is no truth. There is no truth. There's only your truth. And your truth is going to be different from my truth. And that's okay. But what happens is, if we can see this and we see this as a bird's eye view, like really looking from like a broadened perspective, and we can say, this is my truth and that's your truth, and we are okay. Like we can respect each other's truth. That's wonderful and great and so amazing. And then on the other side of that, we are going to have friends and family members that really don't get it, and that they are a believer that their truth is the only truth and that's it. And that you have to believe that truth as well. And this is where that friction can really come in and really like you, and I hate saying these words because it really bothers me when they're said to me, like, or even when I say them, I'm like, it never feels good in my body to say like, I'm going to take the high road. Like sometimes it's going to feel easier to take the high road, meaning that it's going to be easier to respond from your soul, like a soulful place. When you're questioned or when you're asked, what are you doing? Why are you doing this? How could you believe in this? Right. And understanding that this is what it is to be like the black sheep of the family, right? That this is like a good thing. But you're going to get questioned on it, and you have to find a place where, because it's never going to feel good for you if you're consistently in a place where you're reacting against somebody, where you're reacting against words that are said to you or implications or looks that are given to you. You're going to always feel in this defensive place. The reality is that somebody that is truly at peace, this is why meditation is so important. Somebody that is truly at peace with themselves, they can handle that. They can actually look at it and say they just don't understand, and that's okay. And I always tell everybody, know your audience. Like you have to know who you're speaking to. Otherwise, you are stirring the pot too. Like, how am I the problem here? Right? Well, the problem is that you want the fight. The problem is that you are going to continue to put put this information out there and stir the pot when you don't have to, right? Where that's not necessary. And if you know who your audience is, you know that this part of your life is a sacred part and you don't want to share that. Like there are people in my life that, I mean, to be honest with you, I feel like a lot of people have fallen away that are not into what I do. And that's okay, right? I love them, send them so much love and respect. But it's law of attraction kicking in, right? But if I am in a situation where I'm, with people that are just complete non-believers, like I'll have people that think it's cool, and I'm sure you do too, right? I think people think it's cool. I'll always say very proudly what I do. I never hide anything, but I don't start a massive conversation or debate with somebody about viewpoints, belief systems, because that is just stirring the pot. That's not coming from a higher vibration place. But if somebody asks me a question, of course, I'm going to respond truthfully about how I feel about things. But I may not go on and on and on and on if I see that there is like friction there, because at the end of the day, you're not going to change anybody's mind. And just like nobody can change your mind, you have to see it when you are ready to see it, when you're ready to have your eyes open. And again, it just always is going to come back to that truth. What is the truth? There was this thing that I heard once that said, you're going to read many different, findings on coffee and how coffee is so bad for you. Nobody should be drinking coffee. It causes this cancer and that cancer and high blood pressure and stress and all the things. And then you're going to read another study that says that coffee is great for you, and just like having anything in moderation is great. So go ahead and have your 2 cups a day if you'd like, because coffee is fine for you. It's going to help you to fight against high blood pressure, blah, 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 right? And it's like, what's right? Which one is right? I don't know, whichever your belief system sits with, right? Like whatever resonates with you, whatever the energy of these findings resonates with you, you make that decision. That's your truth. But I can come along and look at it and say, no, that's not my truth. I'm going to go this way and say it's like not good for you, or it's good, whatever. And that's all right. So like you may know these things, but your friends, your family, the people that you're talking to, they don't. And you're never going to change their mind. And so stop trying to, because the more that you're trying to change their mind, the more stressful it is for you. And you're just fighting a losing battle. That's like politics and like all the other things. It's at some point, I think it's dumb, to be quite honest with you. I think the whole thing, this debates and all these things, it's dumb. You're never going to change anybody's mind. So what are we wasting our time for? Let's pick some good things. Let's talk about those things, and let's talk about and do the things that we see that we do believe have the same belief system around, similar belief system, and really focus there and find love and joy and gratitude there, rather than me trying to change your mind, you're trying to change my mind. And no matter what, I don't really care what you're saying, because I already have my own belief system, right? If you're going to come at me and I'm going to come at you, it's just like so silly at some point. And I just feel like, after reading this chapter, Heretics Ahead of Their Time, I was like, yeah, like I feel like we all have this innate knowing within us of whatever our truth is. And you may actually know what that truth is. I mean, I think we can all agree at some point that, and maybe not, I'm saying anybody like kind of in this community, that there is a higher purpose for us, and that we are here for reasons, and that we have a higher energy and higher energies that are working with us at all times and helping to guide us and things like that. And if that's not your belief, then that's fine. Generally, I think the belief in the spiritual space, but so we can kind of believe, like start to go down that lane together, right? But honestly, I don't know where I was going with that. However, I really loved this chapter because that's what I was going to say, is that it's truly this awakening of on so many different levels. And people say, you go through many different awakenings. And I believe that. I think we also go through different physical awakenings, like turning on certain strands of DNA, and we're able to hold more light and more energy for healing ourselves and others, whatever it is. I truly, truly believe that we continue to awaken further and further. And maybe it's we awaken the more that we hear something, the more that we sit in our class, the more that we listen to certain podcasts that really light us up, the more that, we read these different books, we awaken a little bit more and a little bit more. But think about it for a minute. As you start to read certain things, I think the things that really make you say, yeah, I always knew that. Yeah, that actually like feels right. And there was a part of me that always knew that. Right. So I truly, truly believe that we already know all the answers. Like we already have all of it sitting within us, waiting for it to be awoken inside, to really awaken itself, or have you awaken it, or other energy frequencies help us to awaken this beautiful light within us and this beautiful remembering. And as you do that, and again, you can't even look to anybody else and be like, you feel that? You read that? Because like that awoke in me. No, it didn't. Okay. Like maybe they just need another piece that is going to awaken in them, and they're not there yet, but maybe you might not be in the same position as they are. And at the end of the day, we're all just moving through this together and awakening these different parts of us together. And I really believe that we're playing all part of like the same team, where we're here to bring light to this earth, and we all have different ways of doing that, right? And these are concepts that there are going to be some people in your life that just don't get this, and they're going to think like, well, that's not how we think in this family. Well, it's not. I don't care. Like that's what I believe. That's what I think. Right. I remember, obviously as you're a kid growing up, your parents are the ones that are really guiding you to say like, this is nice. This is not nice. This looks good. This doesn't look good. And then you start to get your own taste, and you start to even like trying different foods. And it may not be like a teaching of this is good, this is not good, but it's just what is on the table is what they think is good. And I remember I was like, I want to say 15 years old, the first time I tried Caesar salad, like at a deli, because my mom never served it. And it's not that she didn't like it, it's just that she didn't serve like really like creamier dressings at home. It was always more like oil and vinegar or like vinaigrettes. Like it was really a little bit more like lighter taste rather than like a heavier Caesar or a heavier like creamy Italian. And then when I finally tried it, I'm like, why don't we eat this at home? Like I remember like asking my mom, like, I tried a grilled chicken Caesar salad today. It was really good. And she's like, yeah, I like them. I'm like, why did you never like get it? Like I never even see you get it at a restaurant. She's like, I don't know. I'm like, I don't know. I like other salads better. But for my whole life, that's guiding me. And now I've eaten more Caesar salads than I've made up for it. That's for sure. But it's funny because it's like what you start to awaken to as you start to open up your eyes to more things, you really start to incorporate and change and understand and make things your own. And you're going to have people like my mom could have turned around and been like, Caesar salads are gross. Like, that's why. Right. And it's like, no, well, that's your opinion. That's not what she believes, but that's your opinion. And it's when we start to create our own realities and say, no, like this is what I like in my life. And this is, what makes me feel good. And you are going to have pushback on that. You are. And how are you going to handle it? Truly. What are you going to do? I love, love, love this So it's page 174 to 175. And it says, those who work with the lower vibratory fields will say to you that you are witches or the devil because you represent something that they don't understand. You represent change. And you must remember that most people are frightened to death of change. One of the curious things about human consciousness is that it is enamored of stability. You bought the concept that stability is something desirable, hook, line, and sinker. So you strive for it. You think that if you do not have stability and security, then who are you? You might not exist. You might be annihilated. Like, oh, let me keep going, actually. It says, we are talking about many people you know. Some may even be family members. You will need to develop a tremendous amount of patience and compassion for those who feel this energy and do not want to respond to it in a way that can benefit them. You are going to have to become very allowing, perhaps even allowing others to destroy themselves so that they can learn the value of life. Whew, my goodness. So, even in this field of this spiritual field, and while it is one, I think that mostly of peace and, and of love, there's definitely a lot of darkness as well. And even in our lives, and even in the things that people say to us, and it could be people that we love, and they're like, well, oh, what are you, you're a witch, or you're this, or you're that. And remember, like, they're in everybody's DNA of some sort. There is a witch wound of some sort, some magnitude. And what that means is that, we go back to these times of the witch burnings, which lasted hundreds of years, guys. Like really understand that. Like, it lasted hundreds of years. And even after that time period ended, it was still considered this like thing to, do the work that I'm doing. Like, I'm for sure would have been burned at the stake. 100,000,000%, probably a million times over in every single life. But we carry this with us. And it's sometimes like I'm sure that someone at home that you are listening right now saying like, yeah, I like hide all my books. I remember there was this woman that came into the shop and she's like, oh, I have to go and like live with my mom for like a couple of months. And, she's like really, really Christian and like thinks that like it's all like, witches and devil work and all these things. And I have to like hide all my books and my crystals. Like, what I have to, I'm going to bring some things. And like, I seriously have to like hide them because she snoops. I'm like, oh my God. Like, this woman is on, like, this mother is on a witch hunt for sure. So you may have that in your life, and you may be hiding pieces of who you actually are. And unfortunately, I'm sorry if you do have to do that. I hope that at some point you can just be you and feel like you can be you, and understanding that there is no low vibration. There is none of that, like what's considered that lower vibration energy when you are doing the work in the light. Okay. Yeah. And just as there is light, there is darkness. And some people do fall to the end of the darkness and like to find power and all of that. But understand that that comes with so much more ego than it does when you're working in the light. And it really is, it's unfortunate when we find people that just like to sit in that darkness, that low vibration frequency, and they do workings against people and all of this stuff. But it is the reality. And at the same time, there are so many, I think, more people that are doing so much work in the light and protecting their energies and doing all the things that really negate any lower vibration energies. But if you are sitting here listening to this and you're doing all the work in the light, really there's nobody that can say anything to you, because you are really tapping into your soul. And again, they may not understand that, and that's a-okay. They don't have to, and you don't have to try to make them. But what you do have to do is not take on their words, not start to question what you're doing. Oh, are they right? Like maybe they're right. Like, no, no, they are not right. What they're doing is trying to keep you stuck. They're trying to keep you in that low vibration frequency because it's a place where most people live, in that victim low vibration energy, that real trying to be the victim all the time and all of that. And it's like, no, 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 no. Like, I am the creator of my reality. I am working in the light, and these are the things that I do. And I am a way shower. I am a bringer of light, right? And I will continue to shine and do that brightly. So what they're saying here is, like, you have to find a tremendous amount of patience to work with these people. You have to, and you have to find compassion for them. Compassion because they don't know better. Compassion because they are afraid. Compassion for afraid of change. And again, understand that it doesn't just come from this lifetime, that it comes from many, many, many lifetimes ago, where we are carrying this energy forward in what's called a witch wound. So how can you start to find compassion, not get annoyed by it, but understand that they just don't know better, and they're tapping into not only their energy of what they believe now, but what they've believed for many, many, many lifetimes, what they were taught to believe. And I know that it's hard, and I don't like to say that. I like to say it's a challenge, right? I know that it can be a challenge to work with somebody, or to deal with somebody that has a belief system that is so far gone from yours. And that belief system, if they just started tapping into it, could actually make them feel good. I know it's a challenge, but you're not meant to push everybody into change. What you're meant to do is just shine your light bright and hope that it's enough. And that's what they say here, is that you are going to have to become very allowing, perhaps even allowing others to destroy themselves so that they can learn the value of life. I have seen this. I have seen this. And when I say destroy, it's not like that they, pass away or something like that, but it's more of like that their life is always so much in the victim mindset that there's truly nothing that you can do about it. And you have to just allow. And this is honestly what I do. Like, I try to do my best with people in my life, but at the end of the day, you have to respect people's free will, number one, and you have to respect their journey. And you understand that, and they might not. And they, misery loves company, friends. So they're going to try to keep you down. And it's truly what you do that allows you to ascend. It allows you to really look at it and just send them love and gratitude and hope that, and hope. Let's just say hope. But I've seen this where, oh my goodness, I remember this one woman. It's actually a friend of mine, and her mother-in-law, and her mother-in-law is just so like victim mode, so terrible, so bad when it comes to life. Life stinks. Life's always happening to her. She's always negative, always putting every single person down around her, like so, so bad. And it's not right. It's not saying that it's right, but it's who she is, because she's so much in this victim mindset, that you have to be in this victim mindset, that you have to be saved. And again, she's like a very, very big part of a church culture, that it's just like, well, I'm going to be saved. Like, I can do whatever I want. I can say what I want, because at the end of the day, like, I'm a child of God, and I'm going to be forgiven, and I'm going to be saved. And it's like, I don't know about saved and forgiven and all of those things, but I do know what it is to be a good human being while you're here, right? And what that takes. And this isn't it. So it's not like it's like a, almost like a permission slip for her to like be be shitty, because she's just going to get saved in the end anyway. And that is like victim mindset, and that's trying to bring everybody down into it. And I don't buy it. I don't buy into it. Sorry. And I don't buy into it with anybody in my life. And you can be negative, and you can be whatever way you want to be, but you're not bringing me down, because I am sovereign in my energy, and I'm sovereign in my being. So I really want you to start to hone in on this week of, what can I do to, number one, not buy into anybody else's belief systems and start to see what my own beliefs are. But number two, not let anybody's energy get to you. Not let anybody's low vibration frequencies, their bad attitudes, the way that they speak to you, they're not understanding you. How do you not let it get to you and you move forward with grace and you move forward with, this incredible light that you are? So how can you do more of that today? How can you really tap into your own light and your own inner peace and not allow other people's opinions of you and your belief system to shape your life? So that's your homework this week. How can you start to do that? Because other people's opinions of you are none of your business, as said by Rachel Hollis. And I love that. And I stick with that. And I keep that in the back of my mind at all times. I don't care. Like, your opinion is none of my business, of me anyway, is none of my business. And I have my own opinions. Right. And that's what I'm going to go with. So do more of this, empower yourself with this. Read if you can. If you haven't read it yet, Bringers of the Dawn. It's so good. I only have like a couple chapters left and I'm like getting sad that it's ending, but I really love so many of the messages in here. So you can get this at spiritandsoulstudio.com. You can head over to our shopping page, and I always make sure I have a bunch of copies of the books that we talk about here, and especially this book. So continue to read, continue to shine, and I hope you have an incredible Soul Sunday.